Palim Palim, and welcome to a brand new episode of This Ain't the Dating Show XXX, the video podcast with the industry veterans from the dating industry, presented from Masters in Cash. And today we have practically royalty of our industry here. It's Brad Mitchell that practically don't need an introduction. He is the CEO of MojoHost, but for the people that have not heard about you or MojoHost, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Stefan, for having me today on your podcast. So, my name is Brad Mitchell. I'm the owner of MojoHost, and this is my 24th year in business. So, at MojoHost, what do? We do hosting, and we are a global company with service provided from Europe and also from North America, and our specialty is serving this industry. So, 24 years in business. Today we host 2,000 different companies from all over the world that are in the dating and the online entertainment space.
So you do this since 24 years, and there are also other hosting providers in this industry. I would say that you are the most well-known one in this industry, with having a focus on that. But when we speak about hosting providers in the adult space, what are differences from providers when it comes to service, to pricings, and maybe also to specifications when it comes, for example, to dating?
Sure. So there are many hosting companies in the world. In fact, if you do a Google search, you'll find that there are tens of thousands of results. But with a trained eye, when you start to look under a microscope to examine what your options are, what you would really find worldwide is that there's only a few hundred very large hosting companies, and then there are tens of thousands of smaller hosts that are maybe resellers of larger organizations and companies that don't actually own all of their infrastructure. What does it mean to own your infrastructure? Well, for us, it means I own our IP address space. So MojoHost has nearly 100,000 IP addresses. We also have 3,000 servers that we own. These are servers that are used as dedicated servers that we use for VPS or virtual private servers that we build into clouds for cloud hosting. We have storage, we have all of these different things. So what differentiates all different hosters, it's easy to make a difference and be cheaper or less expensive, but that really doesn't help, in my view, to make for a long-term success. It's easy to be cheaper, but at MojoHost, we're really trying to be more than just being the most cost-effective choice. We're trying to be the best at what we do. So what I think differentiates us from most other hosting companies is that whether you come to MojoHost as a customer that can spend, say, €50 per month, or a customer that wants to spend €50,000 per month, you're going to get the same kind of highly available, dedicated, interested, and technically brilliant support from us as a larger client and also as a brand new company or a startup. So we set the expectation very high on service level, and that's something that is very difficult to deliver on with service. It's often the case that people can find an attentive, very small hosting company where maybe they can reach the owner, and maybe the owner is a technical support guy to receive good personable service. But what we've done in 24 years is we've figured out how to do this in scale. So our technical team is large, it's almost 50 people in size, and we're able to help customers configure and optimize their hosting solutions to meet their budget and their needs, and to be creative in the larger world space where most hosting companies aren't very creative. So,
I mean, I'm a client myself from MojoHost, most probably the smallest that you have, but it's okay, and I get very good service. Maybe also because we know each other, but I think it's really that you guys are famous for the service. What are the advantages if you are like a very big company that has like a team of sysadmins? When you offer all this service and this consultancy, is this even needed, or because you have more insights than anybody else because you are practically operating it? It's also for big companies with own admins relevant, this service.
Yeah, so the great thing about using a company like MojoHost is you can come to us and you can be just a wholesale buyer. So if you have an expert team and all you need is servers or cloud or storage or content delivery, you can come and buy all of these items from us and assemble it yourself if that's what you want to do, if you don't want to use support. And you're going to know that you're always getting the best everyday low price that's competitive against the other biggest companies in the world. But really what's smarter in my experience and what we do with a lot of large companies is we help to fill in the gaps that they maybe aren't staffed for. You know, the biggest companies, they always have their own technical teams, and that's great, but what we find is that to have success with large, complicated infrastructures online, it's useful, it's beneficial to have a second set of eyes, to have another perspective on technical problems. And for our customers, they're able to access this, frankly, really without paying for it. So we're able to be engaged with even just a minimal support plan to meet your technical team where you might have gaps. So for example, you know, if your team was 5 or 10 or 15 or even 50, you still might not have people staffed 24/7. If you have a problem in the middle of the night, this might mean that if your key employee doesn't wake up because his phone is getting a call or a message, that you might have problems that disrupt service. So things that you can do that are special with MojoHost that go above and beyond what you could achieve elsewhere is if we were working together, we would come to an understanding and we would document your entire environment. So we would have notes for all of our technical teams that would tell us what lives on which servers, and we could even to do together, or we could do for you, we can do content level marketing. So we can have our stuff checking your servers every minute to pull up a web page and not just make sure that the services are up. That's easy monitoring. Make sure that the pages are loading properly. So when you're monitoring for those types of things, you know, not only is the server up, the service up, but your page is loading properly and getting the right display for your affiliate marketers or whatever it is that you're trying to load on the page, because it is almost always the case these days that for your page to load, all of your databases need to work and everything needs to be functioning properly. So in an instance where something might monitor for down, our team can go and jump into that server. They know where they're at, what's functioning there. They can fix this problem. They can open up a support ticket. They can tell your team what happened and report back to you. So
when you run a own dating site, for example, what I host with you are some small dating blogs that I did not really to earn money. It's more that I understand the affiliate mind a little bit more. Sure. I started this many years ago and it's still producing something. How important is the hosting for SEO, and what can affiliates do, but also what you are doing to help them to improve their Google ranking?
Sure, so lots of things make a difference when it comes to your rankings in Google. And we all know that you should be analyzing your websites for performance, right? Because sites that perform faster and pages that load quicker tend to get preferential treatment with Google algorithms. So you can ask for feedback. You know, a lot of people these days, of course, are most commonly using things like WordPress to publish a site. And people like to use plugins when it comes to WordPress. And this can result in all kinds of problems, both performance and security issues. And these are things that we can help guide our customers through when we're asked to help or to give advice or to maybe more fully optimize and look at a page and its load time and all of the dependencies. We can help to really make all of this go much faster. So, you know, in our origins as a hosting company, starting more than 20 years ago, before I was ever able to sell and close on, you know, these bigger businesses, these affiliate programs, these pay sites, you know, cam companies, all of these different things, before I was a host for them, I was a host for affiliate marketers. So at the core of MojoHost, what we are today and what we have always been is the most flexible, smartest hosting for small and medium-sized businesses. And it means that if you work with us and based on relationship, if you're smart and you choose to engage your sales team, which, you know, we're very accountable and we're very easy to reach, whether it's myself or say Natalie Pannon, who's known you know, as a MojoHost account representative, you can get a hold of us, you can get a hold, we have always readily available support, but we can help to solve the problems that you don't even know how to ask the question. You can give us bigger, broader questions, and you can work with us and bring in our technical team to get you the real answers. So some of the things that we'll do to work with our friends and family, we consider our customers much like family, but we can do things with IP addresses that are very, very smart for search engine purposes and for some of the new needs that have arisen with social media marketing, where, you know, for example, we might be able to provision you non-contiguous IP address space and subnets from different...
What does that mean for the people that are like me?
Sure. So I say MojoHost has a lot of IP addresses. I think the actual numbers may be like 86,000 IP addresses. Basically, each website has an IP address, and that is a set of numbers that identifies where you are located on the internet. Think of it like a street address for your home. There's only one of that street address in the entire world. Well, so when you're with a web host, in some sense, this is what you have when your host assigns you an IP address, and when you own a domain name, the domain name will resolve to an IP address number. So this is the number that gets assigned on your hosting service. Whether it's a VPS dedicated server, cloud instance, whatever it is, there's an IP address associated with it. So a lot of times, for example, we might have an affiliate marketer that, let me give a good example. Maybe they are interested in promoting different, let's go far out. Let's say you're an affiliate marketer and you are promoting several different Christian dating providers. So maybe you have, you're promoting adult friend finders, Christian Mingle or whatever, or some other affiliate program. You might have several very similar promotional sites with the goal. Maybe they've got a lot of rich content, whether it's blog posts or videos or other content. And maybe you want to have these all in hosting spaces, but not have it so obvious that they are all sitting on the same server and that you are the owner, because you would like each of your domains to be able to get its own special attention in a search engine. Well, if all of your domains are resolving to the same IP address, it might be the case that Google sees that and then they don't want to rank everything that is funneled into the singular IP address. But in a smart coordination with your web host, who can maybe flexibly offer you a solution like we can, we might be able to give you one IP address on one block of IPs and another one somewhere that seems very far away on a different network, but is also resolving to your same hosted space. This is a strategy that some people employ.
And you said you have, I think, 86,000 of these IPs, but for sure you have more than 86,000 pages hosted.
We do, and it's not necessary to host them all on different IP addresses. So, and in the economy today, IP addresses have been exhausted. This means they're all assigned to all of the hosting companies in the world, like mine, and in Asia and in Europe. There was a limited set of numbering and a finite number of addresses. There's a different technical solution called IPv6, which is available, but most people still find that your IP address has some value associated with it.
And is the IP6 not that high considered for Google and other search engines as the IP4? Is this having an influence?
It's really hard to say. I think you could probably load up a panel full of professionals, like some of our friends like Dan from Socialholic and from other companies, and they would have some pretty smart opinions. I'm not necessarily the expert as a personal affiliate marketer, but I would say that most people are still interested to represent different physical IP addresses. My example would be, so while IPv6 is the technical solution to this problem of not having enough numbers to number each website individually, what it does, so like where I have almost 90,000 IP addresses, I think I have a few 100 million IPv6, because it's letters and numbers and a much longer string, but not all of the routing devices in the world necessarily know how to route to that. But it is definitely the case that that's becoming more acceptable. But I think really at the core of it, what's important for affiliate marketers is that they're able to achieve smart support when they need it, and they can ask open-ended questions, and the answer that they get from their web host isn't just, you need more RAM, you need more CPUs, because it is most often the case when it comes to enhancing performance of a website, you actually need feedback about your code and your page and how it's set up and designed. And most of the time, maybe 90% of the time, we can help clients achieve their performance goals without just making our go-to response that they need to buy more resources. It's not usually the case that buying more resources will solve performance issues.
Mm-hmm. How is it with the hosting of mailers? I remember that quite some friends of mine, they were affected that their hosting company or their ISP, I don't know how it's connected directly,
Sure.
was really destroying their mailing business.
So I guess I can give a little bit of insight when it comes to mailing. So it is the case today, and it has been the case for all of the more than 20 years that I've been in business, that we are not necessarily the best host for someone to choose if they want to do like real mass marketing, or what we would call like unsolicited email or spam. So I haven't allowed that in all of the 20 years, and I'm not allowing it today, especially because my IP addresses are worth so much money. Today, all these IPs that I own, which were originally free to me, are now worth several $million. So for example, what this means to a hoster is it means IP addresses are in short supply. The value of an IP address is going up in value generally each year for the last 10 years. And IP addresses have a reputation, they have a history of sorts when it comes to email and blacklists with, how do you get your mail through filters to, to different corporations or through different types of scanning services. Well, a lot of this is based on, IP address history. So it is the case that I have lots of mailers on my network, but I have mailers that are genuinely, maybe the most compliant. They might have many IP addresses from us, but they're doing proper emailing, they've obtained with a double opt-in, they have a proper remove that's actually functional and it works. Sorry.
I hope it's not the data center that there is a downtime.
No, it's not.
Not happening at Mojo.
No. Sorry about that. So basically, when it comes to IP addresses and mailing, we're not necessarily the friendliest host. If you're super expert at what you're doing and you've grown a list for a long period of time and you understand that when it comes to mailing from IP addresses, you need to warm them up over time and grow your volumes slowly and more organically, then we're a great host for what you're doing. But it's not the case that I'm the best solution for someone that's just seeking to, if they go out and they buy a list, maybe they got 100 million email addresses and they want to mail it, they're going to have to find other networks elsewhere in the world to go and send those from, probably with very limited success because the IP addresses are probably already burned. But it is the case that if someone's organically growing a mailing list, that we do have a good place to do that from.
Mm-hmm. And let's say somebody would use your IPs to spam. Are the IPs in some way all like a big family, and when one guy is using the IPs for shady stuff, it's affecting
Can it affect
the
other customers? So it's definitely a possibility. So IPs break down into groups of IPs called subnets, and IPs in their smallest form are in what we call like a C class, or a group of 255 IP addresses is the last set of digits. So it can certainly be the case that if someone is a neighbor and they're doing this type of activity, that it might affect their other network neighbor. The guy that's hosted on a different server than him but has an IP address that's one away or two away. But not necessarily, but it's generally the case. So as a host, we have visibility because when someone sends unsolicited email, this will generally create abuse complaints that come into MojoHost, and then we create a support ticket with the client. And for people that are generating lots of complaints or what we perceive to be a problem, and we always try to take first an educated response because our clients usually are trying to do things the right way, and it can be complex to set up, say like reverse DNS and some of these different things that are required to send email successfully. So we always take a more educated approach, but usually these people that are seeking to do this type of activity, they have sort of funny and easy to identify inquiries for service, where they try to buy something in the shopping cart, pay full price, try to order it with all of the IP addresses, or they send in a general inquiry and it's, they're basically trying to bribe us or trying to pay more to use our IP addresses. And so it's easy to see this usually from a mile away.
So when it comes to affiliate management, my specialty, it's always that the affiliate manager has to be like the gatekeeper of the program. So it's also something in the end of the day that you have to deal with, that there are not entering people that want to do dodgy stuff with your...
Yeah, we do. And I think, we try to be very good communicators. So if something doesn't seem like it's a match for us, we'll very openly say, I'm sorry, it's not a good match. And maybe we'll even recommend some other hosters that we think could possibly help to solve such a problem. But
if somebody would host like very dodgy content on an IP address, and it's now more general speaking, not about Mojo, because you have your systems in place.
Sure.
And let's say somebody has like 1,000 IPs, and they are all proper warmed up, and then somebody enters and hosts there something really crazy like bestiality or something like this. Would that also destroy the reputation?
So I don't think so. So generally, in the more rare occurrences where someone's trying to host illegal types of content, such as what you just suggested, those appear right away. We see those very quickly in abuse, and we would deal with and probably fire that. We would warn and or fire that customer.
How you are seeing that it's type?
So we would see that because my IP addresses that I own are registered to MojoHost. So someone that's sending in a network abuse complaint for like illegal or salacious bad behavior like this would come into like an IP administration email address or a network operations center at MojoHost or abuse at MojoHost. We would see those. We would immediately, of course, identify the client. We would stop the behavior or have a corrective conversation or fire the client. But it's not the case. So what you have at MojoHost is you have a friendly known community of the 2,000 companies that we serve. And it's not usually the case that too many strangers are coming in to be customers. Always new customers, but usually they're friends of friends, right? So we quickly identify this activity, and the rare instances that stuff like this happen don't, in my experience, tend to affect the IP address reputation. Usually it's what's most affecting is unsolicited email.
So that's the real risk.
That's the real risk there. And it's hard to know how other people do, like white hat and black hat, Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever, all of the different things that people are doing to massage and market on different social media networks. We don't know, because those are all companies that keep all of their information completely private, how behavior of hosted clients might affect, say, Facebook's view of an IP address or other networks. But that's not something that's ever come to me like as a visible blacklist that's been published to show me where there's been bad behavior. So
when you record a podcast or when you attend a show, one of the hottest topics, maybe the hottest topic, is AI.
Oh yeah, so interesting.
I want to speak with you about the trends in hosting, and
Sure.
also how AI is already having an impact and will have an impact on your business.
So we're at MojoHost, we are super excited about artificial intelligence and these deep language learning models. So I mean, even me, as a working business professional, I use the heck out of ChatGPT to help me write a lot of good new technical and sales and marketing content for another hosting brand website that I was working on, and so it's obvious to all of us now that this is the future, and we're all trying to figure out what should we be doing today so that we can take maximum advantage of these new technologies and position ourselves correctly to make more money in the future. So as a web host, what I'm simply trying to do with MojoHost is I've increased our inventory of GPU servers. So I've already got clients that are doing deep learning using GPUs at MojoHost. Yes, of course, you can go out and you can buy cloud instances to do these things, but we offer similar competitive services here at MojoHost. So I want to make sure that we have like sort of the right cost-effective approach, so that way I can make a good business argument as to why somebody, for example, would want to use MojoHost over Amazon Web Services. We're treading slowly, and we're getting more feedback from our customers in terms of which GPUs they would like us to have on the shelf and ready to go in our different markets, which include Michigan, Florida, Netherlands, and in the future, of course, we'll add more sites. So I guess to answer your question, I'm trying to make sure that I have the right physical hardware to support the needs. I'm trying to be very encouraging. So for all of my friends that are coming to me with new ideas, new business approaches that want to leverage and use this technology, I'm making it accessible sometimes, well, always at a good low everyday price, but for some even more free or just really, really flexible, because I want people to be developing on our infrastructure. I want us to have this success together. So if I can give access to the different infrastructure that we have to help people that are creative business and problem solvers develop and figure out their solutions without breaking their bank while they're in development, then this is where I consider we should be as a web host. We should be able to support everyone that's got these creative ideas and approaches, so that way when they start to knock it out of the park and they get traction with a real commercial product, they can grow and scale, on MojoHost just like my other biggest customers have over the years.
What are, beside AI, other trends that you are spotting in this field?
Sure. So one of the things that we're most excited about, so most people know MojoHost for, of course, its dedicated servers, and apologies. And dedicated servers are also, they're always going to be very fast and low latency because you're right on that bare metal, and we're known for virtual private servers, and our newest generation is super fast using brand new AMD Ryzen servers and Threadrippers. So we've got all of this great technology, but one thing that I find super exciting, and I know is a big part of MojoHost's future, is being a real serious competitor in storage space online. So at MojoHost, what I've actually developed and come to market with, we've been doing cloud storage now for almost 7 years, and it's only really honestly been on my website for maybe the last year and a half, but we have 4 tiers of object storage. So we are already ready and invested.
What is object storage?
So object storage is what you would see at Amazon Web Services. They call it, basically it's like S3 compatible object storage. It's buckets, it's bucket storage. So this idea that in the old days, maybe you would have to have a dedicated server with a RAID, a redundant array of independent disks that maybe can, when you put all these hard drives together and you do it redundantly, gives you 10 terabytes or 50 terabytes or 100 terabytes of storage in one physical server.
Mm-hmm.
Now what we've done is I own and we have built ourselves, we're not reselling somebody else's, but in my own data centers, I've actually spent millions of dollars buying hard drives and servers. So for example, like if you ended up on one of our storage clusters, you would be spread across dozens of servers that, in combination have 500 to 1,000 hard drives between them that for me get assembled in a fully redundant, 3 times replicated storage cluster that has several petabytes available. So, there's a terabyte of storage, everybody knows what a terabyte is, it's 1,000 gigabytes. 100 terabytes would be that much more. 1,000 terabytes would be a petabyte. So these clusters that I'm putting online, and they're all built for high performance because all of my friends have media sites.
But what are the people storing there?
Video files.
Video files.
Video files, images. So like all of the stuff, so for the premium sites of the world that are selling like recorded video content, for example, all of their video libraries, historically were sitting on dedicated storage, and now I've convinced all of the software providers that supply the adult entertainment industry to program more future forward to be compatible with object storage. So for example, at MojoHost, I have customers that have in cloud storage 100 terabytes, 500 terabytes. Our largest client now has way over a petabyte of storage, but what it means for them is they can scale efficiently and keep adding files and storage, but not have to rebuild and grow out of servers for each and every month that they're getting a bill. They get to pay just for what they're using. And what I've done to price MojoHost as a winner is I've priced all of our products to compete head to head and be much more advantageous than Amazon Web Services, to be better and faster and cheaper than Wasabi, to be better and faster and cheaper than StorageJ, all of these other companies that are competing for storage. The difference is our approach, we didn't cheapen how we built the infrastructure. We actually overbuilt all of it to make our investment and our clients to make sure that when they put their files up in our storage, we're going to perform better and faster, and we're going to deliver at a better everyday value. So I'm excited about that because it's an efficient way to grow the business. The average customer, so a lot of the last 5 years that we've been in business together, most of the new ideas that have been developed by small programming teams, and maybe they start in AWS using all these little tools, and they can do it cheaply, right? Because you can start up your instances for very little money, and you grow sort of dynamically. So what we've done at MojoHost is we have created products to basically replace out just about most companies' complete Amazon infrastructure. And usually when we're doing that, we're saving them 30, 40, 50% over what they're paying. So.
Speaking about money and saving, not the last question, nearly the last question, has not really so much to do with hosting. MojoHost is a very big sponsor on many conferences. And
you think we are?
Yeah, you are. And you are also like...
hold on, I'm gonna stop you here. So perception becomes reality. And the truth of it is, at MojoHost, I've tried to find the unique opportunities at different trade shows over the year to spend our money very, very wisely. So while people often think that we are a larger show sponsor, usually it's the case I'm taking down one of the smallest sponsorships, if at all, and then I'm trying to create a hospitality experience that's priced right.
And that's why I remember
So I'll give you the perfect example. So at the European Summit test affiliate conferences, one of the things that Walter and Andres have been fabulous about in working with me is that I throw an event the day before in the evening, like the night before stuff starts in September at their show. I'm throwing the MojoHost app happy hour, which I'll make it go 5-6 hours in a nice loungy atmosphere. And I try to create an environment where I can be personable and meet everybody that's there, and in an experience that I can afford on my budget. The only way to be able to do that in that instance, so I can serve a couple hundred people for a bunch of hours, and not spend $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to stretch out what we're doing to make it more personable. So you won't often see our name branded all over a trade show space, but you might see it in different places where I, in my 20-some years of experience, have figured out that it's my most cost-effective way to try to make a splash. Because at the end of the day, we have very aggressive pricing for hosting, and it's not like I'm not in the kind of business that prints money. We have a very long-term business, and we make a little bit of money each month off of a lot of different customers. So I'm always very sensitive about how we're spending money, and I would rather spend the money on good technology and the best support team. And if I know that if I can have those, that long term, that's going to be what really earns me the best new business. The most qualified customers are the ones that are referred from other satisfied clients. So I do go to trade shows and we do spend some money, but I'm usually actually way more frugal. So I can tell you, because I know my numbers, in all of the years that we've been in business, I've never spent, if I even just look at the last 5 years, more than 1.5% of my budget on sales and marketing and travel. And that's not just Brad sponsorships. That's my flights, my hotels, and all the drinks that I'm buying, of the whole budget. And MojoHost is just a privately held company. We're not the biggest host in the world, and being the biggest wouldn't make us the winner of anything, but we're a privately held company. We do just over $10 million a year in sales. I'm proud of that, but I try to be real frugal about how we spend money, because the only way for me to keep my market position is really just to keep giving good service to clients. And that means the real investment can't be in trade shows, it's in the back office.
In the end of the day, with this, you maybe even answered the last question. So at this podcast, we always end with the Gold Nugget, and the Gold Nugget is an advice from the guest to the audience that was not shared before 10,000 times. Like people say, like, yeah, you have to network. Yeah, we heard that 1,000 times. It's not a Gold Nugget anymore. So what is your business advice to the people out there?
I'll give you something that you don't hear all the time.
That's a Gold Nugget.
Okay, and especially, we got affiliate marketers that watch this?
I hope so.
And probably a lot of new ones, right? People always coming and going, finding new jobs, and if it's your job to go to find more affiliates for the company that you're promoting, the challenge that you have, especially if you've just arrived in this industry and you're showing up at these events, is maybe you're nobody from nowhere, you have no relationships, you have no one to lend you credibility. The best advice I would give you is try to maximize your time in the social situations where you can be heard. And usually this is all centered around the bar of the hotel that you're in, or in these common area spaces. Maybe it's not at the loud nightclub at night, but here's what I recommend that you do. Stop trying to profile people like, I'm selling traffic. Like, do you sell traffic or do you want to buy traffic? Like, this conversation I hear all the time from people that are either buying or selling traffic. Because that approach is going to fail 9 times out of 10. And as a guy that goes to every trade show, and I get the emails and the sales pitches before it by email, and sometimes I'm meeting people in person, nothing irritates me more than somebody saying, do you have traffic? Or do you want to buy my traffic? And then when my answer is no, they move on and they just basically effed off. Like, like there was no value in meeting me. I tell you what, here's the golden nugget. The golden nugget is you're here to make relationships and to create an experience in each of your conversations. So if you made your goal, let's say I just met Stefan. So if I just met him, and maybe I'm already understanding that we don't have anything that we can sell each other. What you need to know, your golden nugget, is that that's not what's important about this conversation. What's important about this conversation is 2 days later at the conference when he's in a conversation with someone that could be a client for your business, that he thinks of you enough that he's going to mention you to that next person. So your goal is the long game. It's never going to, sometimes you're going to get that immediate satisfaction of you've just met somebody and amazing, you can do some business, you can send some traffic, you can buy some traffic, but really what you're trying to do is you're trying to create an impression and an experience with somebody. You're trying to create some type of a trustful bond, which, to be honest, at these trade shows, we see and do some unusual things. There's sometimes offsite events, or who knows, maybe sometimes it's the 3:30 in the morning, we're together at a bar and we just see some people do some really hilarious or inappropriate, or maybe we have a near-death experience on the street. Like, all of these things have happened to us in our travel. I know it.
Yeah,
but these are the events that bring us closer together. And these are the things that when we're not together in the same space, and we've talked enough and shared enough about our friends, our family, our children, our travel. I'm very hard on my shoulder if I'm having a bad day or business is tough. I'm not even likely to share that. Most people are private and guarded. I'm not. But I've learned in my 20-some years, this is one of the things maybe that makes me memorable or endearing, and then maybe encourages people to give me their trust. So even if they can't ever be a hosting customer, my goal isn't to sell to everybody that I'm meeting with. It's just to be top of mind, so that someday when they're in a relevant conversation, if they're right-minded and they can match-make, this is what I try to do. As much as I'm looking for hosting business, I'm also trying to match-make and pay it forward. So when I can put two different businesses together, where in my mind I've connected, like, this person's searching for this and this person is providing this, this is the best kind of introduction, because then when you give someone this gift of making an introduction and they can go and feed their family, or they can have a success, they're gonna feel like they're indebted to you, and then they're gonna go, not everybody, you can't win with everybody, but it's gonna happen if you do this enough times, that they're gonna try to find something for you. And I think that this is the real golden nugget. It's kind of a pay it forward, do the right thing. As I like to say, hashtag that's good mojo, that's paying it forward. So you do that, and then it's not a short game in success, hopefully it's a long game where this money comes back to you, comes home, and you can feel more successful. So
that is really a golden nugget. Please listen to this. I saw it in the other way, like very bad examples where people were really going there, and when you say I do this and this, they really tell you we have nothing to do.
No.
I was one time at a dinner in Sitges. We were 7 or 8 people. I don't remember the rest. Julie Larson was with me there on the table, and I think, of course, Julie Larson was not acting like this, but one of the guys there said, like, okay, we are here now, let's introduce what we are doing, and everybody said it. And one guy did like billing what was not relevant to him, and he was like, this is not relevant for me, next. So this was like really, that was like really...
You can really ruin your reputation super quickly and make it so nobody wants to talk to you.
We were all, it was a little bit like an awkward silence, and I met the guy the next day, and he said, like, I think I was a little bit of a dick. I said, yeah, you were. Anyway, if he's seeing this, I'm not saying who it is. I think he's also out of the industry, but
usually when this is your approach, you're probably only going to last a few conferences before you get fired.
It was exactly like this, because I mean, even if I have business with him, it's not a sympathetic approach. It's not like what you want to have like in your network. Anyway, by the way, Brett has also a YouTube channel, so I will also link the MojoHost channel downstairs in the description, and check it out, because the man has a lot of interesting stuff to share. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Brett.
so much. I appreciate it.
Ciao.
Take care, everybody.